Hey, how's it going? And welcome back to Consuming Cinema, a show about making and pairing food and drinks from popular movies and TV shows. This week, we're celebrating the holiday of Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos, by making a pairing from a movie set on this very day. So today we're making Puerco Pibil with tequila from Once Upon a Time in Mexico. If you haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Mexico, it's a 2003 neo-western written, directed, produced, shot, edited, and scored by Robert Rodriguez, and is the third part of Rodriguez's Mexico trilogy, with the first being his seminal micro-budget debut, 1994's El Mariachi, which is also the name of the series' protagonist, sometimes known simply as El, who goes from an out-of-work musician who grabs the wrong guitar case to a living legend and fabled gun-wielding outlaw, who in this movie is recruited by an eccentric CIA agent named Sands to assassinate the corrupt army general who murdered El's wife and child. And when Sands first meets El, he orders a very specific dish that we see him eat several different times in the movie.
Puerco Pibil. It is a slow-roasted pork, nothing fancy, just happens to be my favorite. And I order it with a tequila and lime in every dive I go to in this country. And honestly, that is the best it's ever been. In fact, it's too good. It is so good that when I'm finished with it, I'll pay my check, walk straight into the kitchen, and shoot the cook. Because that's what I do. I restore the balance to this country.
But before we let Sands go kill any cooks, I'll first mention that this recipe for Puerco Pibil, or Cochinita Pibil, comes courtesy of director Robert Rodriguez himself, from a segment called 10-Minute Cooking School on the Once Upon a Time in Mexico DVD bonus features. So today, I'm actually going to have Robert Rodriguez help me in narrating this video. Now the first thing we need to make for our Puerco Pibil is Achiote paste, which, as Robert Rodriguez tells us,
that's what gives it the flavor and the color. Now you can buy pre-made achiote paste, but it's weak. And so as long as we're doing this all from scratch, let's just go all the way. The only gadget you'll have to get is a coffee grinder.
I bought this coffee grinder on Amazon through a link I'll put below, but do remember,
you might already have one for coffee, but don't use that one. Get another one so you don't mix your coffee with your spices. Save this only for spices. Pibil is a dish from the Yucatan, and it uses annatto, also known as achiote.
Viewers of our channel may remember annatto from our Popeye's chicken marinade from the Little Nicky episode you can watch here.
You will need 5 tablespoons of annatto seeds.
But because my coffee grinder was on the smaller side, I ground these annatto seeds up first before then adding in the rest of the spices, which include
a tablespoon of pepper, 2 teaspoons of cumin seed, half a teaspoon of cloves. Check these out, these are sticks, you gotta grind them up in the grinder. 8 allspice. Grind the spices. This is very important because annatto seeds are hard as rocks, and if you don't pulverize these into a fine dust, it's going to be gritty, stuck in your teeth, and all. Not be very good.
Now we'll set this spice mix aside while in a blender we prepare the rest of our achiote paste, which starts with
a couple of habanero peppers. Very hot, very cool. So we're going to take the seeds out and take out the veins, so we'll wimp it down a little bit. 8 cloves of garlic. Half a cup of orange juice. Half a cup of white vinegar, 2 tablespoons of salt, add the powder.
But try not to accidentally dump part of the grinder into the blender like I did.
Now for the secret sauce. Add the juice of 5 lemons and a splash of the finest tequila you can find. And that's exactly what took this dish over the top, drove Sands loco so that he went and shot the cook. Then blend it so it gets even more liquefied, because the smoother the better. Now, 5 pounds of pork butt. Cut the butt into 2-inch squares. Set it in a large Ziploc bag. Pour this over the meat.
Now at this point, Robert Rodriguez doesn't tell us how long to marinate the pork in the achiote paste, but I went ahead and marinated it for several hours. Then, into this baking dish, we're gonna line it with banana leaves. Last seen in our Kahlua pork episode you can watch here.
Now, you could just use tin foil, but this is much cooler.
Then into our banana leaves, we'll dump in our marinated pork, which we'll cover with more banana leaves.
Add some more on top. Wrap it up nice and tight. You don't want any steam escaping because that's how the meat's gonna cook. We're gonna roast it slowly for 4 hours. We're gonna set it at 325. So what's great about this dish is that you can go on about your business. You don't have to sit there and watch the stove. It's gonna cook on its own. You can go do other things. 4 hours later, it's chow time. Here it is, Puerco Pibil.
Now we're going to transfer our pibil into another dish, and unlike our Kahlua pork, which we completely pulled apart, we are only going to partially pull this pork. leaving a few of those beautiful big chunks of meat intact. And once the pork is nicely pulled, we'll drizzle it with a little bit of that excess juice before covering it and plating it, which, as Mr. Rodriguez suggests, we
serve this over a bed of white rice or Spanish rice. It's a dish so good, you might get whacked just for making it.
So, just as he advised, into this bowl, we'll add a few scoops of white rice, and onto this rice, we'll plate our Puerco Pibil or Cochinita Pibil, and then to go along with our pibil, I will top it off with a wedge of roasted tomato, which I broiled along with some jalapenos to mimic the plating Robert Rodriguez uses in his tutorial. So we'll top that off with one of the aforementioned jalapenos as well, and finally we'll garnish with some fresh cilantro. Now for our tequila, I am again going to be using one of my personal favorite brands of tequila, Tequila Ocho, which I talked about in great detail in our margarita episode you can watch here. Except this time, I'm going to be using their Añejo variety, which has been aged in ex-American whiskey barrels for a year. And we're going to serve this tequila in this cool clay shot glass I found. So we'll pour in 2 ounces of our Añejo tequila, and we'll serve that tequila, of course, with a wedge of lime, just as Sans likes it. And at long last, your Puerco Pibil with tequila is finally done. Now there's nothing left to do but to taste it. So we'll start by taking a bite of our Puerco Pibil, and I'll take another bite as well, and another bite, and another one, and another one, and another one. And after those bites, I decided right then and there that this was easily the best thing I've ever personally tasted on this channel. What really makes this dish is that phenomenal achiote paste, with its many nuanced layers of flavor. The pork is spicy, but not overly so, and it has a perfect level of acidity. And that annatto not only brings a beautiful color, but also a wonderful earthy aroma. But how does our Puerco Pibil pair with tequila? Well, considering we use this very same tequila in the achiote paste, it's really no surprise that these two pair quite beautifully together. The Añejo tequila has wonderful notes of cooked agave, bright acidity, and hints of spice that pair perfectly with the similarly complementing flavors of the pibil. You really don't even need the lime with that tequila, although I do like that little extra bit of acidity it brings to the table. So it goes without saying that this dish is really one of the best pairings, if not the best, that we've ever done on this channel. And all credit goes to the uncompromisingly multifaceted director Robert Rodriguez, whose unbelievable recipe is without a doubt worthy of 2 big thumbs up. If you like the channel, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Please leave any video suggestions in the comments below. Full recipes will be included in a link in the video description. Follow us on all forms of social media at Consuming Cinema. And don't forget to join us next week when we make a pairing from How I Met Your Mother. And as always, thank you for watching. For a little bonus today, here's one last word of wisdom from director Robert Rodriguez.
I've got a lot of friends who don't know how to cook, which I can never understand because not knowing how to cook is like not knowing how to fuck.